What is a dictatorship? The word dictator comes from the classical Latin language word dictator. In Latin use, a dictator was a judge in the Roman Republic temporarily invested with absolute power. A dictatorship is an authoritarian form of government characterized by a single leader or group of leaders with either no party or a weak party, little mass mobilization, and limited political pluralism. According to other definitions, democracies are regimes in which those who govern are selected through contested elections. Therefore, dictatorships are not democracies. With the advent of the 19th and 20th centuries, dictatorships and constitutional democracies emerged as the world's two major forms of government, gradually eliminating monarchies, one of the traditional widespread forms of government of the time. Typically, in a dictatorial regime, the leader of the country is identified with the title of dictator, although their formal title might more closely resemble something similar to leader. A common aspect that characterizes dictators is taking advantage of their strong personality, usually by suppressing freedom of thought and speech of the masses, in order to maintain political and social supremacy and stability. Dictatorship and totalitarian societies generally employ political propaganda to decrease the influence of proponents of alternative governing systems. Dictatorship is a form of government in which the absolute power is concentrated in the hands of a leader, commonly identified as a dictator, a small clique, or a government organization. It aims the abolition of political pluralism and civilian mobilization. On the other hand, democracy, which is generally compared to the concept of dictatorship, is defined as a form of government where the supremacy belongs to the population and rulers are elected through contested elections. A new form of government that in the 20th century marked the beginning of a new political era and is commonly linked to the concept of dictatorship is known as totalitarianism. This form of government is characterized by the presence of a single political party, and more specifically, by a powerful leader who imposes his personal and political prominence. The two fundamental aspects that contribute to the maintenance of the power are a steadfast collaboration between the government and the police force and a highly developed ideology. Here, the government has total control of mass communications and social and economic organizations. Ideology plays a leading role in defining how the entire society should be organized. The distinction between an authoritarian regime and a totalitarian one is that while an authoritarian regime seeks to suffocate politics and political mobilization, totalitarianism seeks to control politics and political mobilization. There are a few types of dictatorships. First, we have a military dictatorship. Military dictatorships are regimes in which a group of officers hold power, determine who would lead the country, and exercise influence over policy. High-level elites and a leader are the members of the military dictatorship. Military dictatorships are characterized by rule by a professionalized military as an institution. In military regimes, elites are referred to as junta members. They are typically senior officers and often other high-level officers in the military. Moving on, there is the single-party dictatorships, which are regimes in which one party dominates politics. In single-party dictatorships, a single party has access to political posts and control over policy. Other parties may legally exist, compete in elections, and even hold legislative seats. yet true political power lies with the dominant party. On the other hand, personalist dictatorships are regimes in which all power lies in the hands of a single individual. Personalist dictatorships differ from other forms of dictatorships in their access to the key political positions, other fruits of office, and depend much more on the discretion of the personalist dictators. Personalist dictators may be members of the military or leaders of a political party, yet neither the military nor the party exercises power independent from the dictator. Monarchic dictatorships are regimes in which a person of royal descent has inherited the position of head of a state in accordance with accepted practice or constitution. Why is a dictatorship the best form of government? Dictatorships have a list of benefits that help the development of a country. The most prominent are: it can have a deterrent effect on crime. As mentioned above, under the self-described Duterte dictatorship administration in the Philippines, between the fiscal year 2016 and 2017, the number of violent crimes decreased dramatically. Political corruption is taken out of the shadows. Within the auspices of dictatorship, the ruler or ruling party has no need to cover up any form of political corruption. That is because they answer to no one but themselves. Because of this, corruption within government systems is often reduced under this form of government because there is no need for it. A dictator can be forthright because little can be done to stop them. Workers within the party or government avoid breaking the rules because of the fear of repercussions. It can provide effective responses during emergency situations. Within a dictatorship, there is very little red tape. If the dictator decides that an action should be taken, then it is done. That format can be very useful should a disaster or some other natural form of emergency occur in that society. Resources can be allocated with one simple command instead of multiple layers of approval, allowing help to be received faster. That is, of course, based on the assumption that the dictator decides to provide emergency relief in the first place. Dictatorships can take the lead on innovation. A dictatorship doesn't need to worry about pleasing the population. It needs to worry about making sure it can stay in the power. Because of that, many dictatorships have numerous resources dedicated to research and development. Not only are there fewer obstacles in the way, but people can be ordered to perform the research as part of their regular duties. That can lead to fast advances in a number of fields if the resources are properly allocated. It can provide ruling stability. Governments that are based on a dictatorship often see a single ruler or ruling group in charge for several decades. Even violent dictators that have no concern for the lives of their people can remain in charge for a lengthy period. As of November 2017, there were 12 world dictators that had been in charge for 25 years or more. There are another 16 world leaders that have held their position for 15 years or more. International diplomacy can flourish. A dictator of sound mind and body, along with a benevolent and patriotic streak, can form beneficial alliances with other world governments with relative ease. Foreign policy runs straight through the ruler or ruling party, which makes it easier to advance a negotiating position for both sides. Checks and balances will always be part of international diplomacy, and a dictator that recognizes this can create incredible opportunities for their people. Many dictators come to power through experience. It takes experience to run a country of any size. For that reason, the structure of a monarchy keeps the training for governing within the family. In a dictatorship, the experience comes from first-hand incidents that generate expertise. Think of it like this. You have one person who trained for 4 years in school to be a welder. You have another person who has worked the last 4 years, 8 hours every day as a welder. Which person will you hire for your next welding job? That is why the power of a dictatorship can seem so inviting, especially to a nation that has been struggling economically. The real-life experiences of the ruler feel relatable to the general public, which allows them to accept the idea that sacrificing their rights for the better good of everyone is an idea worth pursuing.